As NBA fans, we're all pretty much aware of the rules and regulations of the game, but there are some rules out there that you might not know about, loopholes that are just waiting to be exploited, with very few actually bold enough to take advantage of them. On January 4th of last year, the Memphis Grizzlies dominated the Charlotte Hornets from pretty much the opening tip and went into halftime up by 29. So with the Grizzlies thinking that they basically had the game in the bag at that point, thought that they might as well just run out the clock as much as they can. Late in the third quarter, John Conchar rolled the ball to Morant on the inbounds pass, and Morant just let it sit there for about 30 seconds without touching it at all. So many people just chalked it up to him trying to be disrespectful to the Hornets, but in reality, he was just taking advantage of a loophole that allowed him to waste time while putting in as little effort as possible, reducing the chance of a Hornets comeback with no threat of an 8-second violation. If you didn't know, the game clock will continue to run on made baskets prior to the last 2 minutes. And of course, the shot clock doesn't start until a player touches the ball, something that Ja Morant was aware of clearly.
20 points. They're just going to let the clock continue to run. Nobody moving up on Ja Morant, so the game clock just continues to run.
And the 8-second count doesn't start until he picks it up. And the Hornets...
I don't know what the Hornets are doing.
Never seen
and you
this.
can do this. The ball hasn't been touched. He theoretically could do this until midnight tonight.
I mean, we've seen a lot of basketball. I don't think I've seen this.
Teams have been rolling the ball up on the inbounds pass for decades as a way to save time in late game situations, but now it looks like teams are starting to roll the ball up as a way for them to waste time as well, before the other team eventually forces them to pick the ball up, of course.
The league has to do something about that kind of play. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
It's no secret that Nikola Jokic isn't exactly known for his defense, but it looks like he found a way to make up for that by bending one of the rules. According to the NBA rulebook, players aren't allowed to kick the ball or strike it with their fists. Any attempt to do so rewards the opponent with possession of the ball and a reset of the shot clock. We all know this, but I can confidently say that nobody uses it to their advantage quite like Nikola Jokic does. Sure, it resets the shot clock and gives the opponent the ball back, but it's kind of genius if you think about it, because it also allows the defense to reset as well, while simultaneously messing up the flow of the offensive team, taking away potential points from them.
It's a very Serbian thing to do. To just find your one little foothold of advantage and
find the loophole.
Into it.
Number one, it works. I mean, it was never, I always thought it worked because the only penalty is you get back to 14 on the shot clock. That's it. It was clearly smart tactically, and no one else seems to care that much.
He exploited this rule all season long last year, so much so to the point where he led the entire league in kick balls by a wide margin, but we especially saw him do this in Game 4 of the 2023 NBA Finals versus the Miami Heat last year, preventing what would have been some pretty significant buckets for Miami. He did it a total of 4 times that game, all coming in the second half.
That's 4 that he's deflected with his foot, and obviously gets the...
And he's protecting against a basket from the back cut of Duncan Robinson.
Kickball violation, but it stops what would have been probably a layup.
December 26, 2017, the Suns and Grizzlies were tied with just 0.6 of a second left on the clock. Obviously, the odds of getting a clean shot off with only that much time remaining are not very high, but the head coach at the time, Jay Triano, wasn't too worried because he had something up his sleeve, a little-known loophole that he learned about 15 years prior from an official, and he figured that this was the perfect time to whip it out.
Exactly what they do! Over the top! Count it! They say score the basket!
He called a play which is designed for the inbounds passer to basically throw the ball at the basket as if he was trying to make a shot. At first glance, it looked like it was offensive goaltending since the ball was directly over the basket when Chandler touched it. In fact, you can see the Grizzlies coach JB Bickerstaff calling for it, but it wasn't because again, it was an inbounds pass, which by definition is not an actual shot, so the basket counted. If the ball had gone straight in, then obviously no points would have been credited as players cannot score directly off an inbounds pass. But all Tyson Chandler had to do was touch it before it went in.
So if it doesn't touch the rim, I think that's good. I don't see how that could be called off. I mean, the ball was inside the rim. It looked like it was going to hit the back part of the rim.
The rule was apparently such a secret that even his own players had no idea about it. But after that game, the cat was out of the bag.
So how long have you had that play in the back pocket, and how often do you practice it?
I've had that for probably, we were just talking about 15 years. It's a rule that a lot of people don't know. You cannot goaltend a ball that isn't going to count. So I tell our guys, shoot the ball in the basket. and all Tyson has to do is touch it on the way down, or have it grab the rim and have it hit your knuckle and go in. And I've tried to keep it a secret. It's not a secret anymore.
As you guys probably remember, the Suns executed a very similar play a few years later. This time, it was in the Western Conference Finals versus the Clippers, which was a deja vu moment for Devin Booker.
Yeah. I mean, that was an only shot, like you said, when Tyson ran it at first. I think that was 4 or 5 years ago now. I learned that rule, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't know. Even talking to Rondo at half court after the game, he was like, "It don't count." I'm like, I've seen this movie before. It counts. It counts. So.
And of course, Tyson Chandler had to comment on it too. I'm pretty sure no one would disagree if I were to say that a 6-on-5 situation is an unfair advantage, an advantage that certainly helped out the Sixers back in 2020. But obviously, after the referees realized it, they took the points off the board.
Yeah, there's 6 on the floor. Yeah, 6-on-5. Game's a little easier in that respect.
Well, what I want to know is, when did the 6th guy come in? Did we all miss it? Were there 6 guys for the last minute and we just figured it out?
I bring this up because had this exact same scenario occurred prior to 2009, they would have actually gotten away with it, even if they went back to review it. I say that because the Portland Trail Blazers got away with it on December 30th, 2008 in a game against the Boston Celtics. But they only had a small window to pull it off, that window being to score the ball before the officials can catch it.
Final second quarter, this is an odd play. Portland has 6 players on the court. The officials don't catch it. Kevin Garnett screaming at the refs, but it's too late. Travis Outlaw on the flush. Blazers were hit with a tee, but by rule, the basket cannot be taken off the scoreboard.
Who knows if the Blazers were aware of it? Maybe they did hurry up and score because they knew that they would have to let it count if they did it quick enough. And it's not like Portland was gonna stop the game to tell them themselves, so you can't blame them for seizing the opportunity. Again, assuming they were even aware of it. Either way, it left the league no other choice but to change their rules, closing this loophole just a few months later. Now, you wouldn't think a fan would be able to find an NBA loophole to use to their benefit, but apparently one did. Meet Jordan Haber, a 21-year-old law school student who, despite having no prior experience playing basketball, somehow found a way to become eligible for last year's 2023 NBA draft.
Florida graduate is blowing up on TikTok after getting his name entered into the NBA draft.
Yeah, Louis and Eden, get this. Jordan Haber has only ever played basketball recreationally, but as an aspiring lawyer, he found a loophole in the NBA draft paperwork and is now heading to the biggest stage in basketball.
This all stemmed from a bet with his friends.
So I made a bet with my friends, and I made it into the NBA draft. If you don't believe me, that's like the official NBA email down there. That's my email.
He said that he went through the NBA's entire collective bargaining agreement and eventually came across the page that contained the criteria for meeting draft eligibility. And it turned out that he met all of the requirements.
Turns out to be eligible for the draft, you actually don't have to play college ball. You just need to be at least 19, be a member of this year's graduating class, and give 60 days notice with a letter of intent.
So he sent an email to the NBA, and to his surprise, they actually ended up getting back to him, even sending him paperwork to fill out.
This is some of the official paperwork I had to fill out that the NBA sent me. I think they're like, who is this kid? Why did he find the loophole into actually getting into the draft? Because this is not supposed to happen.
So Haber filled them out and sent them off, becoming officially eligible for the draft.
But yeah, after all these official emails, I am now Jordan Haber, a member of the 2023 NBA draft class, soon to be undrafted class.
Now, this lifelong Miami Heat fan is gearing up to meet some of the league's biggest names and will fulfill his dream of going to the draft. But apparently he is aware this is just a formality and he has no real chance of going pro.